Cool. So this is the wonderful Catherine Gallagher, and is going to be sharing with us all about the Empower method today. So, Catherine, welcome to the live show. How are you?
Hi, Katie. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
I absolutely can. Where are you?
Great.
Where are you from, Catherine?
I'm from Plymouth in Devon originally, but I live in West Sussex now, near Brighton.
Such a gorgeous part of the world in the UK.
Yeah, and yourself?
So I'm in London. I'm in Wimbledon, to be precise, as the Wimbledon tennis is going on. So yeah, but I love Devon. I love it all around Sussex area. It's such a gorgeous place of the world. So Catherine is going to be sharing, I said, all about the Empower method. And I would love, Catherine, I always love for our speakers to share a little bit in a nutshell about your journey as an entrepreneur and how you came to what you do today, because I think it's very powerful to know that everybody's journey is different. One thing we always do as entrepreneurs is compare ourselves. Why am I not here? Why are they doing this? Why am I not doing that yet? But everybody's journey is so different. And I always say to just stay in your own lane, stay in your own lane, be a horse, with those blinkers like this, stay in your own lane and don't look left or right, because someone's journey is different to yours. So share your journey with us, my lovely.
Wow, thank you so much, Katie. Thank you for having me here. And yeah, wonderful to be with you all today. So a little bit about me in a nutshell. I'll try and keep it potent, but brief and inspiring. So my career first started out in the legal industry. I was a barrister, and I then moved across into the corporate world where I transitioned into events and marketing. And it was during that time I really started to suffer with a lot of anxiety. And then in my personal life, things began to, crumble away. My middle sister was diagnosed with cancer during her pregnancy of her third baby. And I really felt like my world was falling apart. And it was pretty much at that time in my life that yoga found me. I started practicing after work every day, really committed, dedicated practice. And I'd always been a very spiritual child, person. So it really ignited my soul. And long story short, I then trained as a teacher, began working on the side of my corporate job. And then after 6 months of that, I started my own business, which has been running close to 7 years now. I've been self-employed, become a global award-winning business mentor for spiritual entrepreneurs. And I specialize in mentorship, the business side of this industry, and also retreats, which have just started up again after COVID. But I think everything that happened with my sister and my niece, who fortunately are very well and safe now.
I was going to say, they're well, yeah.
Yes, they are. But it really, really kicked me into gear of, what am I doing with my life? And thinking about, do I want to spend it where I am? Or, I was really faced with that fragility of life and making the most of every moment. And that's why I took the leap of faith to leave the corporate world, do my own thing. And I've never, ever regretted it for a moment. And I help a lot of women do the same thing now.
Amazing. Well done. And do you know what? It's that whole thing is do it now. Take action now, because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And
we really don't. We're never in control of that. And that's so important to remember. Like, how dare we assume we'll be here tomorrow? There'll always be that time, because actually, if yoga teaches us anything, it's that time is now. Now is the yoga. That's the magic.
100%. And the biggest thing I hear when people say, oh, it's not the time to invest in mentorship for myself, it's not the time to start my business, I don't feel confident yet, it's not now, it's before you know it, you've got 100 excuses. So it's just, time is now, just get started, find a way. There is always 50 ways to find a solution for something. If you need money for something, you need to invest in something, there's always 50 ways to find money minimum. There's so many there's resources everywhere. You just got to want it enough. That's exactly what it comes down to. So Catherine, I love what you're sharing with. Obviously our show is called Building You the CEO. So embodying the she-E-O sounds amazing. So what does this actually mean when you're running a business?
Great question. So I've been really enjoying, actually, with my own mentor, this phrase Embodied SHE-E-O. So SHE-E-O obviously is a play on words for CEO. Yeah. But my new favorite of that is Chief Energetic Officer. So really thinking about your energy behind what you bring to your business. But yeah, I work exclusively with women, and I really try to teach the embodiment side of business, which is hard to do in words because it's obviously a feeling that I'm looking to ignite in someone. But really, it's the concept of looking after your body first, because your body literally is responsible for running your business. You need your hands to move on the keys of the laptop. You need to be breathing well. You need to be well rested. So it's prioritizing self-care so that when you do show up in your business, you are ignited, you're lit, both, mentally, intellectually, physically. You've stayed hydrated, you have done your exercise routine, perhaps you've meditated in the morning, but you really embody your passion because you've taken care of yourself first. So you actually have enough energy to give to what you're doing. Because if I were to show up today, burnt out, tired, confused because I haven't had a nice morning and a good breakfast to be clear on what I want to talk to you about, what value is that for anyone?
Yeah.
It's not a value. So it's really this idea of, taking care of the body first and then really embodying the reason that you're there. So I think it's really important to have a purpose and a big why behind what you do. And I've shared mine, talking about that fragility of life, really stand behind what I do because I've seen how yoga has changed my life. I want to share that with others. But I also have to still practice it myself so that I'm embodied in my practice so that I actually have enough to give the clients I work with.
Yeah. And, for those, because obviously on our live show, there's fitness and sport entrepreneurs. So we've got yoga professionals, Pilates, to, gymnastic gym owners, to fitness gym owners. So embodying the fitness and sport world. So very much what Catherine's sharing can be applied to anything that you're doing within your business. So, like she shared about your meditation, just making sure you're eating well and looking after yourself. Remember what Amber just shared in her interview? She was talking about building your inner wealth. And if you're building, it all encompasses the same. You can't be thinking wealthy, but eating crap, or thinking wealthy and sleeping 1 hour a night. It's just not going to work. It might work for a couple of weeks, couple of months, but then you're going to be burnt out. So you've really got to lead from the front and building you. So Catherine, can you share a little bit more on how you've embodied these decisions in your business, and how you've kind of very much listened to your own body, your intuition? How does someone start with this?
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, Katie. Well, I think everyone, if we're prepared to go there and really think about it, could recognize within themselves a gut feeling, or you pick up a vibe on something. So let's say turning that way doesn't feel right. But often we tend to then second guess ourselves, go back to the logical side of our brain and maybe make a decision on what feels most rational in the moment. So I encourage the women I work with to try and localize in the body, okay, where is that intuition? Is it from your womb? Is it from your heart? Is it from the third eye? I'm obviously coming from a more esoteric spiritual background. So thinking about, the seat of our wisdom, maybe being at the third eye, but a lot of women are really connected to their cycle, so the womb space, or perhaps in the heart or the gut, so being around that belly area, but feeling into an offering. So let's say, okay, you messaging me, hey, Catherine, do you want to come on my live show? I was excited, I was ignited, I had adrenaline, I had like that sounds really fun, sounds really good. Whereas some things I get, because I do get a lot of offers come in, is a bit like, cringe, awkward, well, it's not enough money, or whatever it is. So it might be on pricing, it might be on where it is. It just, something doesn't feel right. And I've really learned to tune into my body for that answer. And when a lot of the women I work with, talk to me about, I've been approached about this, or I'm thinking of doing this, I ask them, okay, well, what does your womb say about that? Or what does your gut, whatever they can relate to that's relatable for them, what does your inner wisdom feel like in response to that? Is it igniting and activating for you and joyful? Does it spark joy, you know, like Marie Kondo says? Or does it feel awkward? Does it feel like not enough? Does it feel like not the right way to go? And I think just having that faith and self-belief in yourself to listen to your gut instincts has been so helpful for me, because the times I've gone against that, I've really, you know, learned the hard way.
Yeah, and it is just listening to your gut feeling. And I love that, how you said how, especially, I'd love to know your feedback as well on this, because our community listening can definitely learn from this on the other end of it. When I'm approaching speakers for our live show, I always make sure I voice note to create that relationship connection and make sure it's not copy paste, because so much rubbish that even I get sent, I don't even look at it because I know it's copy and pasted. So how did that make you feel on a connection point of view?
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much for raising that. So I really enjoyed your approach, because I do get a lot of these offers, and hearing your voice, you pick up on someone's energy. You're clearly a very enthusiastic, energetic person, which I vibe with, right? So I was like, okay, this is on my wavelength. Mm-hmm. I also love that you're a female entrepreneur as well. I'm all about that, you know, promoting women, fast forward, and your background, gymnastics, is very inspiring. I also used to do a lot of like ballet gymnastics myself. So yeah, I love hearing about your personal touch, what you do, and then the fact you'd actually taken a moment to look at what I did with examples of, I really like what you're doing with blah, 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 you know, taking the time to actually consider me. So I think just it's the extra, it's just going that 1% more than the majority makes someone stand out. So yeah, I think voice notes are a beautiful way to go.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I do love a voice note. One, I can talk quicker than I can write. Absolutely.
Saves time.
Might not surprise you, but I can communicate a lot better. Same with if I'm much better on audio and video than I am writing long emails, for example. So yeah, one of the things, my community, I always send them video clips or pocket coaching, you know,
nice.
sharing nuggets rather than going blah, 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 blah on a long email, because we all learn different. But I know if I get a long email, I delete it, because it just glazes over. Because
exactly,
like, you know, short, and you know, our attention spans these days are shorter than they've ever been. Hey,
that's great. And people are so time poor that coming in with just a potent, to the point, succinct message, how you talk to your best friend, I think is a really great approach for content in general.
Absolutely. So cool. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kathleen, and really breaking that down. So what would you say would be any bold boundaries that you have in place? And I love this, because I was talking about, as you jumped on, as we were waiting, I was popping some priority 1s and priority 2s into the chat, and training on that. So how do you prioritize this so you're not burnt out?
Great question. And I love bold boundaries. That could have been the other whole topic of this interview, and you know, I'll try and keep it short and sweet, because there's so much we could go into on this. But I think a few things I've mentioned already. So really having in place your self-care needs. So for me, I really enjoy a slow, lazy morning. Like, I like to take my time over breakfast and a cup of tea. Sometimes I do a bit of movement practice, some breath work, some meditation, but having, even if it's 5 minutes earlier on your alarm clock, just a couple of minutes to deep breathe with a hand on your heart and your belly, anything that is gonna set you up, rather than straight away reaching for the phone, diving into emails. Just give yourself a minute to connect to your breath, your body, really can set you up for the day. And then in terms of specific business stuff, I run my mentorship program with really strong boundaries in place. So I run a weekly live call, which is actually straight after this. And if they haven't pre-submitted questions by 3 p.m. the day before, their questions will run to the next week. So I have deadlines in place. I really try not to fall into people pleaser mode like I did in the past, of just overgiving, you know, not valuing my time and making sure that those I work with are inspired by the way I implement deadlines and boundaries on them, so that they learn not to just people please all the time and fall into, oh, don't worry, yes, we can answer that question as well. Well, no, we can't, because I haven't had time to prepare myself, to think about it, feel into your question, give you more value. So it's really getting people to appreciate your time, and you give as much value as you can as well. So things like terms and conditions, contracts in place, people know where they stand. And the first time you implement boundaries can feel in yourself maybe awkward, you're worried you're being rude, you're going to offend them. But actually, what happens when boundaries are implemented and it's done with love in the greater picture of things, people really appreciate them and then know where they stand. So expectations can be met and you have a more healthy working relationship. And if there's time, I have one more tip.
Absolutely, go for it.
Pretty much. Okay, so the final tip I would suggest is about to-do lists, actually, because I'm not a fan of a long to-do list, but actually simplicity. So you simplify, you amplify that thing that you're focusing on. So I try to just have 3 things or less a day on a to-do list. One of those is for cash flow. So let's say an invoice or collecting in a payment, or maybe you have to pay someone. So just checking that the money is sorted. And then number 2 would be anything that is urgent that day. So if you have a deliverable for a client, or let's say you've got to show up, you got to teach a private client or deliver a class, or you need to get something to your mentees, you get that to them. And then the final one would be something that's for the future of your business. So let's say a bigger content piece you're working on, like I'm developing a manual right now for a future restorative yoga training. I might do a little bit on that, or I might write a newsletter. I might create a post, something juicy, something tasty content-wise, but no more than that, or I'm gonna just, burn myself out. Just really simplifying to amplify, try to walk rather than run, and then prioritize rest, play, fun, self-care.
So important, because we've all made these. I found one of my live shows last year was on success versus burnout, and the reason I put it together is because I was burnt out. I was just exhausted. Come out of lockdown, I've got a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I remember feeling, after homeschooling, she was only 4 at the time of the first lockdown, but it was just utterly exhausted. Like, I'm just done. Just remember working my business in the evenings because my partner was working in the day and I was homeschooling, trying to keep things ticking. My gyms were shut, obviously, and I remember just trying to do bits in the evening. And when you're just trying to do stuff but you're not in it, you don't want to do it, and if your heart's not in it, you might as well not do it. And I remember feeling utterly exhausted, and I remember looking at my to-do list, and I restructured, hence that P1, P2, P3s that I was just coaching on before you jumped on. I found that so helpful, because my diary, I seem to think that I was like Superwoman. I mean, I still think that, but when you're like, I could do all of this today, and you're like, Jesus Christ, like there's like 50 things to do on that to-do list, and they might not even be short. But one leading into this, my wonderful VAs on supports me during my live shows, and I would say the biggest thing, no matter if you're a brand spanking new shiny penny entrepreneur, just get a VA, get yourself a VA, right, for 1 hour a week, even for 30 minutes. So all those little tasks, all those little things that might take you, like you said, chasing an invoice, that might take you 30 seconds. You've still got to think about that. Yes, I think about, I've got to do that, which then probably takes you 5 minutes by the time you've done it and you've delivered it and you've ticked, So I literally have got so shit hot at going, not my just own a genius, delegate. And that's why when you say your top 3, I only have top 3 in each day. Anything, any other rubbish, not saying I give my VA rubbish, she's on the call, she's gonna have like 3 VAs, but I'm like, can you do this? Can you do that? Yeah, I pop it in their boxes for them. We have like online, we do Airtable. Airtable is a great tool to use, guys, for this. But it just helps prioritize, and it helps it gets it out of your mind. because otherwise you're so overwhelmed. You just get so overwhelmed with so many things. Even something, if a funnel's not working or a landing page tweak, I noticed our workshop link was not working this morning, and I could do it. I could take 2 minutes to go in and tweak it, but I'm not focusing on that. And I was doing something else at the time. So I literally messaged my VA and said, can you just quickly look at the workshop? She's like, yeah, no, and she'd done it within an hour. So again, we all know we can do these tasks, and I think we get so caught up, don't we? We're like, I'll just jump and do it because I can do it. It's fine, I'll do it. But that's how you end up with a to-do list like this.
Yes. So
I found that really helpful for me. So I'm really pleased that you shared on that, Catherine, with 3 priorities. The last 2, 3 priorities. Count my fingers. 3.
Definitely, yeah.
It can be so overwhelming. So so thank you so much for sharing, Catherine. You've been an honor to have on the show. I love your vibe, I love your energy, and you're super relaxed as well as you come across. You've got a lovely vibe. Now I know you've got a free gift for our community, so share a little bit more information with them.
Oh, thanks, Katie. If I may, just really quickly too, I love what you said there about delegating. So if you're at a stage where you can make a hire, definitely make a hire, and listen to what Katie said there about zone of genius. You don't have to wear all the hats. You don't have to be the accountant. You don't have to be the content manager. You are the embodied SHE-E-O, right? So you make suitable hires, and you can pass work to other people where they're working in their zone of genius, and give yourself permission if you need to take a day or 2 off, take some holiday. They're guilt-free. So the gifts are, number 1, I have a free yoga immersion. So if you're into doing some yoga with me, some breath work, meditation, it's really high value little bundle of different classes by me. And if you like it, you can opt into my yoga digital studio. And then secondly, I have a free mentorship training. So it's a business training, about 40 minutes long. So for the entrepreneurs here listening in, or if you would like that introduction to the business side of things I do, then enjoy the free training. It's called Doing Business Through a Yogic Lens. So it has a spiritual outlook on business as well, but would love to see you in either of those or both.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Catherine. That's really generous of you. And I love how you say my yoga studio. It sounds so cool. Love it. Cool. All right. Thank you so much, Catherine. It's an absolute honor having you on our live show. And I really look forward to welcoming you back in the future. So have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much
for joining us today.